Hi everybody. Today, Kim and I decided that we're going to start a daily broadcast if we don't get too lazy sitting around the house too much. Um, so far, all our courses and classes are going to go on as scheduled, but much smaller with all the social distancing and hygiene protocols. But what we want to do is every day share with you a little bit about what we're doing during this time. And just in case things start to get more food scarce and that kind of thing, we thought, well, gardening is probably the number one most important thing that everybody can do right now. Getting outside, if you're healthy, is the best place to stay healthy. And gardening is a great place to increase your food security. And so we're just going to show you a little bit about how we started, and then toward the end, I think I'm going to share a song, try to share a song at the end of every video, and then we'll post this to the Wolf Camp page as well as our website. And so, hey, Nate, haven't seen you in 30 years. Uh, and first thing I want to show you is that just inside your house, you can start growing in a cup or anything. It doesn't matter, with a little bit of soil from underneath the sod in your yard. We've got some old onions here that we weren't able to eat before they started sprouting, so we put that in a little water, those greens you can eat or you can plant that onion. We've got other things started here, as you can see. And so I'm going to head outside and show you what we've got going on with our new gardens. And I encourage everybody to think about being outside as much as you possibly can during this time where we have to stay physically separate from everybody else. You might notice that we moved our office onto the kitchen table because it's the sunniest place in the house. And so what I'm going to do is every day, if possible, around 5:30 or 6 Pacific time, broadcast a little bit about earth skills that you can do outside. We'll do some wild food plant walks. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a detailed tour of the greenhouse. Maybe even show you our chickens. Not that everybody can do chickens, but it might be a cheap way to get some eggs this summer in case the supply chain starts getting a little bit. And chickens are not something that's super cheap to maintain right away, unfortunately. You can see Kim's thinking about putting them up, but so right here, I just wanted to show everybody how easy it is to just start a garden. You don't have to do it all fancy. As a matter of fact, if you have a patch of lawn or just some old buckets, like look at this. I found these 2 old buckets on our walk yesterday in the woods, as we always pick up garbage. And they're leaky old buckets, and you can throw some soil in there, mix it with some potting soil. You're able to buy some at the store. Tomorrow is having a huge St. Patrick's Day sale. Apparently is going to go on, and you can get, I think, up to 6 free bags of potting soil, along with, if you purchase 1 or 2 or something, you get a free bag. So it might be a great time to do that. So look at this here. If you have a spot in your yard where you have something laying on the lawn that's killed the lawn, like we did last year, this is where we had our greenhouse last year, the one that's sitting right there. And if you do a greenhouse, I recommend doing the easiest possible greenhouse you can do. It takes forever to put them up if you buy one of those kits. And so what I recommend is just get some plastic, throw it over anything to hold it up. Try to make it as airtight as you can. But it's nice to be able to walk in because, as you can see, it's nice to set up some tables and not have to crouch down all the time, especially those of us who are getting a little older on our knees. So what I'm going to do is what we did with this garden, because it was just lawn under there. Also need to choose a spot that hopefully doesn't have any pollution in it. Of potting soil in there to help fertilize it a little bit. And we're able to start pretty early, especially if you cover it with some plastic and poke some holes in it. You can start that is if you're up north. If you're down south, start it in the ground right now. And just put some early starting greens in there. Kim has decided tomorrow she's going to put in radishes, which are about the easiest thing to grow. Don't do too many because First time you plant radishes, you overdo it usually. Lettuce, of course, got a couple of different kinds of lettuces we're going to put in there. And then it's really nice to just put enough that you need for your expected use, you, your family, and your neighbors, just in case they start needing some food. And then rotating, starting new lettuces every week or two, depending on how many you have and how many people you have to feed, because it's nice to keep that rotation going. Also recommend doing it in absolutely straight rows, so put up a string or something so that it's much easier to weed. What else is Kim going to put in here? And of course, spinach. We don't eat spinach fresh so much, but we love putting that and leftover kale. Maybe tomorrow I'll show you our other back garden back there that we have a lot of leftover food, I think, from last summer that just overwintered, such as kale that we sometimes pick and throw in our stir fries, things like that. So again, I'm going to show you first how to easily grow in pots. If you are in an apartment and you have a doorstep that faces south, or if you're in the south, it's in the shade, it's fine. Or if you have a balcony, just get some pots, any old pots. And look at this one. We found this in the creek. Broken old bucket. This is perfect as a pot because you need it to have some drainage. You don't want that water to get stuck in there. And then this one was an old Wilco bucket that we broke a couple places. As a matter of fact, there's some holes in there, so that'll be fine. What you want to do is just take some soil, and I'm going to show you how to get some soil if you are not wanting to buy anything right now. Just go to a patch of your lawn, and you never know what's under there, depending on where you live, obviously. And you do not have to do raised beds or anything fancy. You can just actually, plant in sunken beds into your lawn by just digging out a little bit of sod. And I'm just going to do a square foot for now. And you can do a bigger patch. Don't overdo it. Only do what you have time for. But of course, we have a lot of time right now. Depending on, unless you're working in the healthcare industry or some other service that's so critically needed right now. Shout out to all of you who are doing that. And we have airplanes going over. Not going to happen as much when the sun is out. The airplanes come over top of us, but that's probably going to be fewer as time goes on the next few weeks. Anyway, so you can see though, if you turn your sod over, that's going to become your raised bed. Next year you can cover this with any old cardboard, to keep that grass from growing into where you want to plant, which is in here. And it's going to be probably not the greatest soil, and so dig in there, break it up as deep as you can, pull up different layers that might be under there. You might find that there's like a gravel layer, but underneath there might be the old native soil or vice versa. And then maybe throw some potting soil in there or something else with a little more nutrients. Of course, start saving your compost so that you can start creating soil. And add a little bit of something with some nutrients in there. It doesn't have to be very hot. You're not growing corn in this type of small thing. You're probably going to be growing lettuces and things like that. It does not need much. In fact, you can overdo it. So try to look up on the internet and use your judgment so you can plant right in there. And again, if you've got frozen ground still, or it's cold out where you're living, cover it with plastic. And it's going to melt out what's underneath there. And then as soon as you're ready to plant, just poke holes in there big enough for the plant to come up, and that'll heat up the soil under there. It has to be, in the 40-degree range, at least 50 best, to grow some of this lettuce, for it to germinate. You can't get corn until their soil is almost consistently 70 degrees or more. And of course, the corn isn't going to be ready till the end of the summer anyway. Carrots are really wonderful to grow. Beets, and potatoes are super easy to grow if you can keep your soil wet. And of course and you don't have to buy seed potatoes. Super expensive. Just get some old potatoes that have started to sprout. Cut chunks that have a little sprout, and that's seed potato. And yeah, you don't want to reuse those every year, but because it can start getting some blight and things like that. Now, pots are the best thing to grow your hot fruits like tomatoes, peppers, things like that. Don't even bother putting them in the ground. Tomatoes, if it rains and splashes back, the soil splashes back onto your tomatoes, they're going to die out a lot of times due to, well, you can look it up why. Anyway, so just put it in pots. That keeps the splashing down, and you'll probably get really good. Now, tomatoes take a little bit more nutrient of soil, so this is where you want to mix about half of your native underneath your lawn soil with half potting soil, and then they'll grow really well. Same thing with peppers. Other herbs that you want to put in there in pots would be, basil, mint, especially if you don't want it to grow out all over the place, because mint in the second year it's perennial. It's nice to have these perennial plants like mint and chives, and it takes too long to start asparagus. That would be ready in about 3 years. Kimmer, what else is good to grow into pots? What else do we put in pots as far as herbs, hot herbs, cilantro?
Peppers.
Of course, you don't like that, but yeah.
We got peppers.
Yeah, just look it up. What's great to
things that you want to make into a pizza.
Things you might want to make into a pizza
like
is what
thyme
you
and
want to put
basil
into
and
pots for sure.
Fennel
Thyme,
you can do.
If you love fennel, that kind of thing. And the seeds, they're pretty inexpensive if you just go down to the store and get them. The places that have the perfect organic seeds, like Mountain Rose Herbs, places like that, are really back ordered right now. They're having to hire a lot of people because people are wanting to start gardening this year quite a bit. Of course, this would be the most popular time to start anyway. All right, so that's a little bit of that, and I think I'm going to keep it as short as possible. This is just an introduction to various things we're going to do. I'm going to try to post what we think we'd like to do each day in advance, so you know whether you're interested in our, for instance, yesterday, or was the day before, Kim and I went and harvested stinging nettles, which in our area start coming up in late January, but right now are about perfect size, and they're really easy to harvest. We'll show you how to do that. This I need for, and this will be interesting for those of you who are wondering about herbal medicine applications for illnesses, common colds and flus and things like that. Of course, we know nothing about this particular coronavirus strain and what affects it or not yet, other than the studies that are coming out of China and the case studies here in Washington State. But every year in March, I really start hitting stinging nettle tea hard, because there's been a study that came out that shows that it's a immune system adaptogen, and so I have an overactive immune system causing vitiligo, you can see on my face, loss of pigment, allergies, all sorts of things, and so this really helps tamp down the allergies. And stinging nettle tea, a strong stinging nettle tea every day, in addition to your daily allergy pill, is amazing. So definitely combine Western medicine with verified herbal medicine that works for you as a person. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a drink of, by the way, and to dry it, the easiest thing to do is just every few hours that you see it, stir it up, because you can't let this mold as it's drying. And we'll show you how to harvest that on one of our walks coming up this week, because we want to go get some more, because I use a lot of stinging nettle to stay healthy. I'm going to take a drink right now. This was a little leftover from last year. For tea, you want it dry. For fresh eating, you can make, we'll talk about it more, but you can make pesto instead of using basil, all sorts of things. That's really nice in my throat when I'm talking so much. Speaking of talking too much, I'm going to try to close with a song every day, and this is sort of motivate me. A lot of times I don't do things. I get really lazy when all of a sudden I don't have something scheduled. And of course, hopefully we are going to continue with our scheduled activities for less than 10 people with appropriate distancing and spacing and hygiene and screening and all that kind of thing. But this daily broadcast that we're going to post to my Facebook page, and then to the Wolf Camp Facebook page, and then onto our website, hopefully. Doesn't take too long to download and edit. I hate doing all that. But anyways, this will help me motivate to practice my music, which I haven't been doing this winter at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've played since the last day of summer camp. So, but I'm going to start with a new song that that I learned, and a couple of our instructors turned me on to a new musical artist, not so new, but anymore, obviously, but Mike Love. Not Mike Love, the Beach Boys Mike Love, but MikeLoveMusic.com. He's a Hawaiian jazz, reggae, fusion, best singer-songwriter I have ever encountered. As I ran into somebody down at Fred Meyer a few days ago who was wearing a Bob Marley shirt. I was like, hey, do you know who Mike Love is? He was like, magician with the feet. And he is. He's an amazing magician with the feet. So I'm going to sing the only song that is easy enough for me to have learned yet. All the songs are very complex and long. As a matter of fact, he just posted on, join his Facebook page, by the way, Mike Love Music. And he did a funny recently, a couple days ago, showing hands that were completely all wrinkled up because he was washing his hands to one of his songs, which are very long. Anyway, I'm going to bring the camera over this way. Maybe Kim can. Or I'll move
I can't see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And let's see if this is... I'll be visible, more or less, I guess so. I'm going to sing one of Mike Love's songs. It's called No Regrets. And the reason I want to sing is because there's so much in this song that is so appropriate for this moment that everybody is concerned about. And so when Kim and I are worried about things, we just turn on Mike Love all day long, over and over, and it really keeps us going. It keeps us motivated, keeps us from getting in a bad mood. And so I want to thank Mike for all the work that he does and keeps people lifted up all the times over the last decade since he's been putting out his popular. Gotta watch his amount of music videos because his stuff, he just nails it every live we've seen, which is only 2 so far. So my apologies, by the way, to Mike Love for singing this. Not very well practiced. Here goes. I'm going to start over. Here goes. All this time will pass into the past. So if you're happy, then make each moment last. Don't hold nothing back. And if you're suffering, remember get over it fast. Get back to See you tomorrow, everybody.